Hi, welcome to Give Me the Bible, where God's Word speaks for itself. Now that we've seen the correlation between some of the letters that Paul wrote especially and the book of Acts, and we've also talked about how to approach New Testament letters and how to look for clues as to what their purpose is, I want to attempt to do something that is very difficult, is very time-consuming, very demanding. In fact, it's why I haven't really made a lot of videos in a while, and at least I've been making them, but not quite as many, not quite as frequently, is because I know that there's this daunting task ahead of me for what I'm going to do in these next 22 videos, starting with the next video, and that is I want to talk about the purpose of every one of the books of the New Testament, beginning with Romans and going all through Revelation. We've already talked about the purpose of Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and Acts, and now we've got 22 more books to go, but part of the reason that that's difficult is that it also requires me to attempt to put those books in their chronological order. You see, the New Testament is not, in our Bible, it's not organized in a chronological sequence, at least not a perfect chronological sequence. And, you know, when you look at the divisions of the New Testament, for the most part, they're divided up by authorship, especially, you know, after Acts, you have, you know, Paul, and then James, and then Peter, and then John, and then Jude, and then John again with Revelation, dividing it up by authors. And then even Paul's letters, even when you look at the 13 or 14 letters Paul wrote, those aren't in chronological order either. Really, they're in order of two things. There's two categories. One is Paul's letters to churches, okay, which spans from Romans to 2 Thessalonians, I believe, and then there's another section for Paul's letters to individuals, which is 1 Timothy through Philemon, and then Hebrews is kind of added on to the end, again, because there's a little bit of debate whether Paul actually wrote that. But even within those divisions, they're divided up based on their length, according to the Greek New Testament. So Paul's letters to churches from Romans to 2 Thessalonians, when you look in the Greek New Testament, the word count on those books is from greatest to the least. And then when you get to his individual letters, starting in 1 Timothy, it's the same thing. It's from greatest to least. So they're organized differently. They're not organized chronologically. And so part of understanding the purpose of a letter is to understand where it fits in the timeline of Acts, and that really fills out some details, as we've talked about in past videos. So what I want to do for this video is just give you a tentative schedule for the next videos based on the chronological order that I put the books of the New Testament in. And I need to make a disclaimer before I do this, and that is that this is not perfect, okay? There are disagreements over the proper chronological order of some of the New Testament books. We can be certain about a lot of them, but some of them we're just not certain about. There are different positions, and I totally respect that. And if you want to send me an email, obviously I'm always willing to talk about it if you have any issue with the order that I've taken. But I'm really convinced that this order makes a lot of sense. And if it doesn't to you, then please share that with me, and I'd be happy to change my view if it truly is not as accurate as it could be. So let me just give you this list of how I place them in chronological order, and I'll actually put them up on the screen so that you can see them there as well. But I have the New Testament letters starting after the book of Acts, okay, at James is first, and then Galatians, and then 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, and then 1st and 2nd Corinthians, Romans, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, Philemon, 1 Timothy, Titus, 2 Timothy, Hebrews, 1 Peter, 2 Peter, Jude, 1st and 2nd and 3rd John, and then Revelation. Now there's a chunk there in the middle. Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, Philemon, they were written about the same time, so you know, I'm not really necessarily placing those four in any particular order, but they do fall, I believe, between Romans and 1 Timothy. And then again, there are some questionable things like Hebrews, when was that written, who wrote it, we're not 100% sure. There's some debate about James, there's some debate about Galatians, but I'll make mention of why I hold the views that I do in those specific videos to come. I sure hope that that's clear and helpful, and Lord willing, I'll see you next time.